Senator Emmanuel Udende, representing Benue North East, raised the issue as lawmakers settled for the business of the day. He noted the impact of the spate of attacks on economic and social life of residents.
An increasing insecurity in Kwande, Ukum, Logo, and Katsina local government areas in Benue Northeast Senatorial District of Benue State brought other matters of urgent public importance pursuant to orders 41 and 51 of the Senate Standing Rules. The Senate, aware with deepest sadness that no fewer than 50% have been killed in fresh attacks on several communities in Kwande, Ukum, Logo, and Katsina local government areas of Benue State by terrorists parading as headsmen. Further aware that the affected communities, some of which were attacked as recently as yesterday, and which attack are ongoing, include Chulu Ward, Boyko Ward, Kunda Ward, Ubam Ward, Uyam Ward in the Ukum local government area, and Udeku, Yaiwa, Nihimba, Tomata, Amenakwa, Yase, and Agura, all in Kwande local government in Benue Northeast Senatorial District. Saddened that the residents of the villages and communities now find themselves targeted on a daily basis by heavily armed terrorists. And the toll continues to be staggering as they bear the brunt, with reports of marauders butchering several villages, leaving many homes completely burnt down, and numerous residents still missing, while the perpetrators, however, remain elusive and have not been apprehended. Further saddened that this pathetic situation and development has inflicted untold hardship on women, children, and elderly, who are trekking long distances in search of safe haven and awaiting intervention of security operatives. Concerned that this situation, in addition to the loss of lives and property, has already impacted negatively on the economic lives of the people, and the resultant effect of shortages of farm produce is one of the reasons for astronomical rise in prices of agricultural produce and inflation in the country. Further concerned that despite public outcry and previous resolutions of the National Assembly as regards the criminal activities of these terrorists, there seems to be no visible action on the part of government to curtail, abet, or totally stop the criminal activities of these criminals. Convinced that the utmost concern of and the purpose of government is the security and safety of lives and properties in line with Section 14, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, there's need to act urgently. Accordingly, resolves to urge the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, the Inspector General of Police, and heads of other security agencies to, as a matter of urgency, deploy security personnel to address the continuing and ongoing attacks by armed terrorists, parading assessment on communities in Kwande, Ukum, Logo, and Katsina local government areas of Benue State, with a view to flushing out the terrorists and stop the killing and restore normalcy to the affected communities. Heighten surveillance and invest in surveillance technology and equipment to detect and prevent future attacks. Review the security architecture in the area to foster continuous attacks. Request the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately mobilize relief materials to the people displaced by these recent attacks in Kwande, Ukum, Logo, and Katsina local government areas of Benue State. Mandate the relevant committees of the Senate to ensure compliance and request the Senate to observe a minute silence in honor of the deceased person. I so move.
Signed about the happenings in our constituencies have not been complied with in some instances. And so it has become very, very necessary now that these actions are taken immediately because it affects virtually all communities in Nigeria. If you combine the effect of the killings and the incessant attacks with the level of food insecurity that is unfolding, I think it's only a matter of time, Mr. President, that Nigerians will begin to ask questions because they don't even know the difference between who is supposed to be acting here or there. They hold the Senate and elected representative responsible for these actions. And so, sir, I think that in the 9th Senate, another committee was set up to review the security architecture of Nigeria, which was done, unfortunately. And so sad, it was not implemented. The recommendations were not implemented. Some of these bandits hide out in forests in our various communities, like in Agatu, like I said that time. They have forests and they have locations. So the mystery of it is that why have we not been able to pick them out of these forests? And some of these small forests now can degenerate into Sambisa forests again in our various communities. So sir, I think that the Senate should resolve this time around to honestly ask our compliance committee to ensure that resolutions passed here in the interest of our people are complied with and given effect, so that our people will have confidence that the Senate elected by them to represent them show concern for their lives. And in addition, sir, Mr. President, various state governors have security operatives. In my state, we have Operation Zenda, which was specifically set out to tackle these problems. Unfortunately, I think not much action is coming from these security outfits. So we must also urge the governments of various states to also be concerned about what's happening. Because we all know security is everybody's business. It's not just about the federal government. It's about all levels of government. And if they combine effectively with the federal government, I think this insecurity and the killing of our people that we are talking about will become a thing of the past. I so submit, Mr. President.
In the 10th Senate, motions upon motions have been moved about insecurity. The same prayers urge military, urge police, and all that. And he just said that in almost all the bushes in Benue, they have taken over. But the area I'm trying to argue from is, what are they actually looking for in those bushes? Is military solution the best solution to this insecurity in Benue State? Even defense headquarters have said that military solution may not be the solution to the insecurity in Benue. Every day, we see numbers, 10 killed, 20 killed, 40 killed, 50 killed, and the same prayers are always military solution. We haven't come to ask ourselves if there could be a political solution, if there could be a cultural solution in any form that will stop this insecurity. Those bandits in the bush in Benue State, what are they looking for? I think it is time that stakeholders' involvement is sought. Let the people sit down and ask themselves direct questions to know the root cause of this insecurity. If the defense headquarters, who we are urging to solve this problem, keeps telling us that military solution is not the best, if you go online and read it, the defense headquarters, the police have always said that it is not all about military solution. So if we continue, maybe for the 15th time, move motion, direct it to the military, direct it to the police, then, as he said, go to the compliance to know if the police are deploying people. And they are telling us that military solution is not the best. It means that we will continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, which is not possible. We cannot do the same thing and get a different result. Let us sit down and get stakeholders' involvement to sit and find out the solution to the problem without just talking about military and using force to stop them. I'm sure minority leader will agree with me that when stakeholders, the state, the local government, the communities, traditional rulers, sit down to really talk about the problem of this insecurity, especially in the River State and Plateau, that we could find a solution and just continue to talk about military solution, which has not yielded the desired result. I submit, Mr. President.
If you continue to do the same thing over and over again, and you do not get, you get the same answer, nothing being done. Why do we have to continue to do the same thing? It's a question for the Senate.
All the service chiefs here in this chamber, and I could recall very well that we reached some resolutions, unanimous resolution among ourselves, both the Senate and the service chiefs. Mr. President, I think we have a problem. We did not follow up to ensure that those resolutions are properly implemented. We have allocated huge sums of money to the security agents. It is there in the 2022 appropriation, it's there in the 23 appropriation, now in the 24 appropriation act. Humongous amount of money has been allocated. We have not done our constitutional oversight responsibility to ensure that that money is judiciously utilized. And that's why we keep on having these problems all over. Until we resolve to do what is required of us to do constitutionally, we shouldn't be coming here to be raising motion upon motion every day. This community is attacked, that community is attacked. What have we done as a Senate, as members of the National Assembly, as the third arm of government, to really tame the tide of this insecurity? Until we do our responsibility, Mr. President, we should not be crying for wolves when there is none at the site. We should be proactive. We have committee on Navy, we have committee on Army, we have committee on Defense, we have committee on Air Force. What have they been doing? They should be reporting to the Senate what has happened. We even have committee on police. We have committee on, what do you call it, security and intelligence. The colossal amount of money has been allocated. We don't go out to check whether this money has been utilized. We only come here to be crying. Why? Mr. President, I myself would not raise any motion regarding insecurity unless if all of us are committed in doing what is right. Mr. President, I rest my case. Thank you.
We've gone around this story for years as far as I've been here. And I've always said, and I repeat again, that the first solution to our problems of insecurity in this country is actually to go back to where the problems exist. That's in the rural communities, in those communities where these problems exist. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, because of lack of trust between citizens and government and other platforms of leadership in this country, nobody is committed to stand for the community, to stand for the country against those who are terrorizing us. In fact, most of these people are complicit, they are informants, they assist them. What do we have to do, Mr. President? We need to go back to that basis. Our communities should be empowered at the local government level in terms of resources and trust. Our traditional institutions and leaders in all the communities who are on ground need to be strengthened and supported and given confidence. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, if our communities who bear this brunt are not supported and strengthened, they are not given the required confidence and trust from even our security agencies, be it the police and military, that they can trust them, they will not help themselves and help the country. Unfortunately, they are still the first victims, and yet some people in those communities help those who are attacking those communities. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, our military officers, policemen, they are still citizens and Nigerians. We release money. Yes, like Senator Elere has said, how much are we really oversighting this? That is an area we need to look at deeply. But that alone will not solve the problem. The real problem lies with the people. It's only the people that can build confidence in the system, in themselves, and we rise up together and say enough is enough. While government provide the required environment, the required trust, and required resources for us to be able to root these people out. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
In fresh attacks on several communities in Kwande, Ogum, Logo, Kasinala, local government areas of Benue State by terrorists, according to the motion, parading themselves as herdsmen. That the attacks, even yesterday, he showed me pictures of families who have already been slaughtered, and he said the attacks are ongoing at the moment as we are speaking now. So then the distinguished Senator Baribe said, whether we have found out from our defense chiefs what has changed since the last time we had over 10 hours closed-door meeting with them. So I don't know whether you have a word of comfort for the Senate as chairman of defense.
With our colleagues in whose...
Hello. Apologies on that slight mishap. You're welcome to another live telecast of plenary from the National Assembly, that is from the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am Lami Ali. Well, the plenary is already in session with the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, presiding. And from what is listed on the other paper is that the Senate is expecting some visitors. Now, I have here with me the Chairman, Senate Committee on Rules and Business, Senator Taito Zam. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, we have seen here listed on the other paper that you're expecting the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Wiki, and also the Commissioner of Police. What are the issues for discussion?
Well, as you have rightly observed, today, the Honorable Minister of FCT and the FCT Commissioner of Police have been expected in the chambers to brief the senators of the Federal Republic on the prevalent security challenges residents of Abuja are going through. You will recall that a few days ago, the senior Senator Ireti Kingibe, representing FCT, had complained that many residents of Abuja City are facing all manners of insecurity. And the Senate felt that Abuja is too sensitive, too critical to the country. And for the Federal Capital Territory to be reported to have such magnitude of insecurity faced by her residents means the whole country is supposed to feel concerned. And that is why the Minister of SCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, and the Commissioner of Police are invited to come and brief us on what modalities they are putting in place to ensure the security of Abuja residents and its environs.
Recently, too, the service chiefs and heads of other security-related ministries and agencies were here for security briefing, and that was done in a closed session. This briefing for today, is it going to be an open session or closed session?
Well, the Senate President will decide, but normally security issues are better handled under wraps. So today's sitting too, with the Minister of FCT, might take the same executive session pattern, but I think that is up for the Senate President to decide. All I know is that the FCT Minister is coming, and as you rightly pointed out, the service chiefs were invited as a result of this same issue. That tells you the level of concern that the senators have over the safety of Nigerians in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, can the cameraman remain?
Well, plenary is in session and already first readings of 5 bills have been taken. The bills are the Federal College of Education Technical Saminaka Establishments Bill. There's also Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act Amendment Bill. The third bill taken for first reading was Federal College of Medical Science and Laboratory Technology. And then there's a bill for constitutional review, that is Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. The fifth bill taken at first reading is Federal College of Health Technology, Ikwano, Abia State, is also an establishments bill. As earlier explained by the Chairman Senate Committee on Rules and Business, Senator Chaitu Sam, Senate is expecting the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and the Commissioner of Police of the FCT. They will be briefing the Senate on the modalities put in place to secure residents of the Federal Capital Territory. The invitation was as a result of a motion that was raised in the Senate a couple of days back by the by the senator representing the FCT, that is Senator Ireti Kingibe, on some security breaches that were experienced in some parts of the FCT. So any moments now, they are going to be led into the chamber to brief the lawmakers on modalities that have been put in place to secure the residents of the Federal Capital Territory.
These 4 minutes, they are going to have silence. Among those minutes, 2 will be silence. But it's reading, but they are not saying anything.
No, that's what I'm telling you. Like these 4 minutes now, it's silence.
Even before now, before these 4 minutes, there has been silence. I'm not giving you extra one, don't worry.
See, this.
See, right?
They still brought this.
We'll have to start adjusting time. Who is the first person now? Titi, Devechi, Joseph, and take what now? Take E, B, C, D. Yeah, take E. What is D? Titi. And Titi no record.
Any moments now, the FCT Minister and the Commissioner of Police of the FCT will be invited to the podium by the President of the Senate to brief lawmakers on the issue of insecurity in the FCT. The lawmakers want to know the modalities, the steps being taken by the FCT to secure residents. The FCT Minister and the Commissioner of Police are already in the National Assembly and are waiting to be invited to the podium to brief the Senate. The Senate may likely go into a closed session, being that security is a sensitive matter and some information are confidential and not advisable to be brought to public space. And so we await the invitation by the President of the Senate on the visitors to brief lawmakers in the Red Chamber. There are also other items for consideration on today's order paper. There is a motion from Senator Idia Toluranti, which seeks authorities to tackle the challenge of out-of-school children in Nigeria. It is one of the items billed for consideration on the order paper. The briefing is the first time the FCT Minister and the Commissioner of Police will give to the lawmakers in the Red Chamber. Recently, though, a couple of weeks back, the service chiefs, ministers, and heads of security-related agencies were also in the Senate to brief the Senate on what is being done to secure all parts of Nigeria following challenges or reports of security breaches in parts of the country. Today's briefing is basically on the Federal Capital Territory.
Ositango, your point of order is sustained. My dear colleagues, Senator Wadada, Senator Zango Dara, the Senate leader, Senator Ndume, what is that?
They allow the press to understand.
But I see that
Okay.
The chamber is going into closed door session now, so we are returning to the studio to bring you an already recorded plenary as we await the conclusion of the security briefing here at the Senate by the FCT Minister.
Numbering over 50 killed in fresh attacks on communities in Kwande, Ugum, Logo, Kasinala, local government areas of Benue State by terrorists. Rest in perfect peace.
The lawmakers asked the Committee of the Whole made some adjustments to some clauses in the bill seeking to change the nomenclature of the National Assembly Library Trust Fund to the National Assembly Research Center.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clauses 4, 5, 6 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clauses 7, 8, 9 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clauses 10, 11 and 12 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that clauses 13, 14 and 15 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in support of clauses 16, 17 and 18 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that clauses 19, 20 and 21 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that clauses 22, 23 as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. To clause 3 part A remain as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that the explanatory memorandum as amended remain part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Of Section 8, Paragraph 4 of the bill be corrected or amended, as to say, be amended to read that a member of the governing council shall hold office for 4 years, provided always that a person appointed appointed to fill any vacancy. Because it would have been so appointed, Mr. Chairman, if this had been slated earlier and we are just referring to it as so appointed. But here is a continuing statement that a person appointed to fill any vacancy created by the death, resignation or removal of any member of the governing council shall only hold office until the period in which the predecessor would have held office. Yes. Shall only hold office for the residue of the tenure, for the residue of the tenure or the tenure of his predecessor. Yes. Yes. I don't know if the Secretariat is comfortable. Chairman, you got that?
You should have.
Okay.
You should have made that amendment the way you want and then give it to the leader.
No, well, I believe the Secretariat has captured it. Thank you.
Ask the leader to move the motion so that we can amend it. Because I can't amend it from here on my own. So the chief whip. So what we are saying is that the person appointed to conclude the tenure of the predecessor. Yes. No, the tenure of the predecessor is appointed to fill the vacancy created by death or resignation shall only hold office for the remainder of the term of the predecessor. So, clerk, you know what to draft, huh? So he is only going to move a motion for the correction, and then will be seconded by minority leader. Then we move on.
A new subsection just introduced. The essence of this amendment, Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues, is to ensure that the person who will be eligible for appointment as executive secretary will be, one of the qualifications would be to have served as a member of either the Senate or the House of Reps, not just House of Reps. You know, Mr. Chairman, currently it reads, in the appointment of a person to the office of the Director General under subsection 1 of this section, the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives shall evenly rotate the appointment to all geopolitical zones and shall also ensure that such appointment is rotated between the Senate and the House of Reps. My amendment, to make it more specific, is to say that the Senate and President of the Senate and Speaker of the House of Representatives shall evenly rotate the appointment to all geopolitical zones and shall also ensure that such appointment is rotated between a former member of the Senate or the House of Representatives. That's my amendment. In the appointment of a person to the office of the Director General, under section 1 of this section, the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives shall evenly rotate the appointment to all geopolitical zones and shall also ensure that such appointment is rotated between a former member of the Senate and the House of Representatives. That's my amendment.
Of representatives or former members of the Senate. Not necessarily geopolitical zones of House of Reps and Senate, because you can have a very good senator. So don't limit it to rotating between House of Reps and Senate, but just say that whoever is to be appointed must have served either in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. Must be, if you say National Assembly, sometimes it can be misleading. Just say must have been a former member of the House of Representatives or the Senate, which in law, sometimes people can interpret National Assembly to mean House of Reps. So I don't think there is no need to mention where the principal officers should pick the person from, but provided the person is a former House of Representatives member or a former serving senator. That way you can, rotation among geopolitical zones is accepted, but whoever is to be appointed must have served in the House of Representatives or must have served as a senator. Because you can have a situation whereby serious injustice is done to a colleague and you want to address that injustice or redress that injustice. And so the question of saying, oh, the person who was there before was House of Reps, don't tie your hand. Let it just be that whoever is appointed was a member in the House of Representatives or a member in the Senate. But geopolitical zoning is accepted. But the appointment should be a former senator or a former member of the House of Representatives. Did you hear what I said? A person to be appointed must have served in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. That's one. Not necessarily, that one does not need geopolitical zoning because you need somebody who is fit. But a geopolitical zone means that we can rotate the office amongst the geopolitical zones. But whoever is to be appointed must have served in the House of Representatives or in the Senate previously.
The provision, both in the Principal Act and as is written here, the provision is conjunctive, it's not disjunctive. One arm of the provision is that there must be geopolitical rotation. The other side of the proposal is that the person who is to be appointed must have served as a member of either the House or the Senate. So the two go together. It's not one or the other. It is both geopolitical rotation and previous membership of the House or the Senate.
The geopolitical rotation, you must not limit any particular geopolitical zone to either House of Reps or Senate. It should be to a competent hand from that geopolitical zone. Do you understand? No. What you were saying is that after the Senate, it will go to House of Reps. After the House of Reps, it will go to Senate. No. Let it be that there is geopolitical zoning, but in each geopolitical zone, whoever is to become the Director General must have served either in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. So that it means that if you find two competent people from one following the other, so long as they are not from the same geopolitical zone, they can serve.
I think we are encumbering this position with too many things. One, we are stating that the person must be an ex-legislator. I think that position like this is more professionalized, and continuously, library science as a profession is evolving and improving every time. I don't see how we should, the condition of this position, I think that should not necessarily include being a legislator, an ex-legislator. And equally, I don't see what we are doing with political zone here and there on a minor appointment like this. Just I think we should go for the best practice and we rather look for highly professionalized persons
who, for one reason or the other, are very capable, but they are not able to return. So if we go outside somebody who has not been in the legislature to go and appoint the Director General, it does not make sense to us. So for you, let it be somebody who is used to and knows the requirement of legislation and knows what the senators will want or what the House of Representative members will want. Somebody that is well versed in legislative matters. So that is why we are appointing, and also it's a means of empowerment. You don't come to an arm of National Assembly and go and bring one professor who has been abusing politicians outside. So that's the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have answered the reservations raised by Asheru. We want a House member who had the experience of being a member of the National Assembly. And sir, if you carefully listen to the amendment by the Senate leader, I think it's apt. That amendment is very apt because there is so much fear in the land. But when you have a bill and a clause that actually rotates position, that peer is being overtaken, because it's just a matter of time that your own zone will also have the opportunity. And we have vast, experienced, competent people all across Nigeria, regardless of the zone. But you have to put the zone here because it is imperative that we watch it. It is imperative that we follow it. It is imperative that we adopt it. The zoning there that is there is very apt, and you in your own explanation also, you allude to the fact that that zoning is also critical. In this particular clause, two things are critical: the zoning and the former member of the National Assembly, a senator or a former member.
Just like we have lawyers, we have accountants and all. Director General, he is going to oversee the National Assembly Library. If we say we are going to appoint DG for National Assembly Library, I'm not against either a former House of Representative member or a senator. But for me, it's the institution I want to look at. We want, if it is going to be a former member of National Assembly with experience, to manage it. Director General is the Chief Executive Officer. It's not a political office. This is my view. But even it's political, it's in an institution that needs somebody with relevant experiences.
I move that the amendment as proposed be accepted, which is section 13, subsection B4, and to read as follows. In the appointment of a person to the office of the Director General under subsection 1 of this section, the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives shall evenly rotate the appointment among all geopolitical zones and shall also ensure that such appointment is rotated between former member of the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Now, appointments are not made by the Speaker and the Senate President. So in the appointment of the Director General, the Governing Council, not Senate President and Speaker, shall ensure that such appointments are rotated between the 6 geopolitical zones of the nation, full stop. And then you can create a proviso, provided that the Director General so appointed is a former member of the Senate or House of Representatives. Simpliciter. Simpliciter. So that captures it. So two lines. So in other words, that the Governing Council shall ensure the appointment of the Governing Council shall ensure the appointment of a Director General, provided that such appointments are rotated amongst between the 6 geopolitical zones of the nation, and a person so appointed is a former member of either the Senate or House of Representatives. You've captured it. The Governing Council shall ensure the appointment of a Director General, which appointment shall be rotated amongst the 6 geopolitical zones of the nation, provided that the person so appointed is either a senator or a former member of the House of Representatives. So take it one more time.
By the chairman and the secretariat having also captured the essence as well as the cause and contents of the proposed amendment, I stand to move that it be so adopted. I so move.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, I stand to second the motion as ably moved by the Senate leader.
Clause B4 is amended to read that the governing council shall ensure the appointment of a director general, which position shall be rotated among the 6 geopolitical zones of the nation, provided that the person so appointed shall be a former member of the House of Representatives or a former senator with requisite qualifications, member of the National Assembly, Senate or House of Representatives. Am I right? Full stop. And then that motion has been seconded. Those in support of the amendment as proposed by the second Senate leader and seconded by the minority leader say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Monies to be derived from the sales of books and other memorabilia and other monetized online contents, that is okay. Fee to be paid by users of the services, it's okay. But where I have problem is the section 2. It said, notwithstanding any other law to the contrary, there shall be paid to the resource center a levy of 0.05% of the total revenue generated in each quarter by the statutory corporations, government agencies listed in Part A of the first schedule of this bill. If you go to the schedule of this bill on page 11, you will see that we are talking about everything in Nigeria, because these statutory corporations and GOEs are the ones that generate every revenue for this country. And I will recall that there was a time Agricultural Trust Fund bill came, and they requested for the same 0.05, and we rejected it here. So if we are taking 0.05 for library trust fund, national, not Nigerian library, National Assembly library, I don't know which president will assent to this. So I want this to be expunged. Thank you, Your Excellency.
So you want that section to be expunged, and you want the proposed amendment to say that the funds of the corporation shall come from the appropriation from the consolidated revenue. We had all these things here, because we can make a law to tie the hand of the president of the federation. Am I right? So propose that amendment.
From money appropriated and donations from willing donors. So any donation can be accepted. So moved. You can repress it for me, sir.
I believe that one thing we should not do is to deny the resource center the opportunity in the future of taking advantage of corporate social responsibility benefits that might be extended from corporate Nigeria as well as from international funding partners. So we should not outlaw their ability to receive such benefits. Yes. It's not.
Amend section 3.2 to read, notwithstanding any other law to the contrary, the National Assembly Library and Resource Center shall be funded through appropriation from the consolidated revenue account of the Federation. And donations and grants or gifts and aids from any willing donor And can I add, CSR. That's donation already. That's true. Yes. Kigali. So I so moved, sir.
3.2, that we should rather say that, notwithstanding any law to the contrary, that the funding of the National Assembly Library and Resource Center shall be met through the annual appropriation from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation, and or any donation, grants, aid, or any voluntary donation, grants, aid from any organization, persons, or groups interested in the activities of the center. That the funding be spelled out as stated by the duo, that the funding shall come from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation, or from donations, grants, or aids from interested organizations in the progress of the center. Those in support of the motion as amended and moved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk, I hope you captured it well.
Not just federal government, but all the 36 state governments. And if this is National Assembly Resource Center, I do not think there is justice in deducting money that ought to accrue to the states to fund what is obviously a National Assembly. Each state has a right to set up their state resource centers. I think it is not equitable, it is not fair, it is not just to deduct from what belongs to the whole to fund what is going to service just a part. But to have passed it, I just want to be on record, I don't think it is right, I don't think it is just, I don't think it is fair.
In fact, if there is any group that should be excluded, it should be federal government, because federal government does not have any representative in the National Assembly. It's even the states. It's the states that have the representatives. But your observation has been heard, but rejected.
On page 9, 15. And I have a feeling that it's a deviation from the norm, where we have a governing council, and the role of the governing council in terms of staffing and employment is merely to ratify appointments made by the Director General. I think the appropriate thing is that the governing council makes appointments for this center, and if there is need and emergency, maybe some categories of lower staff can be ceded to the Director General to employ, but to have a governing council and to have a National Assembly Service Commission, and then put a law mandating a chief executive or Director General of an organization to make appointment, especially senior appointment, I think is not in tandem with our existing practices. And so, Mr. President, I think that we should expunge section 14(2) and section 14(2) and section 8B.
Before somebody seconds it, he made an observation that one person cannot be allowed to employ all the staff of the center, that it should be the governing council that should be in charge of employment. Because the governing council is well composed of people from all the geopolitical zones in the country. So his observation was that if the job of the governing council is not just ratification, while the executive secretary is the person to appoint, to employ, that it would not be good. So the governing council should be allowed to employ staff for the center as and when necessary. And
Mr. President, I listened to Abba's reservation. When you say a Director General, you are not specifically talking about one person. You are talking about the agency under him. There is nowhere, sir, in our administrative setup that a governing council appoints. They ratify. If you don't want the Director General to do, then there is nowhere, anywhere in this country, that a governing council appoints. That's the issue. Somebody appoints, the governing council ratifies. If you don't want the DG to be saddled with appointment, just like the National Assembly here, the clerk of the National Assembly appoints on behalf of the National Assembly, then the board ratifies. Why do you have a board? The question is, if you can answer me, why do you have a board that appoints in the administrative setup in this country? That's just, if they have, then I think maybe his suggestion will take the day. But if my thinking is, somebody appoints and they ratify.
No staff at all. It's just a new setup. So if it is a new setup, it will be good for the governing council to set up an employment committee that will collect and collate the CVs of people working with the Director General. And by the time they are through, they bring it to the governing council for approval and ratification. But since it's a greenfield, if it's an existing organization, they already have directors, they have staff, they have cleaners, they have this. Governing council will only do the work of what? Ratification. But in this case, you are just starting.
Usually we have management committee that is charged with the responsibility of running the center. And it is the management committee that employs. And then the governing council ratifies the employment. That is the conventional way of doing it. Anywhere we have the Director General. Thank you.
In this case, you don't have Director General. I also believe that the National Assembly Service Commission can even second staff to them to commence. You understand? So, but when they have, maybe what we should rather say should be that the management of the National Assembly Library and Resource Center shall be responsible for recruitment of staff of the center, subject to the direction and ratification of the governing council, and shall be presented to a committee set up by the governing council, which shall be responsible for vetting, screening, and then presentation to the governing council for approval and ratification. Of course, the management in this case includes the executive, the Director General, and directors. So we assume that they are there. They are not there.
What is provided here? If you look at section 14(1), it says, subject to the approval of the governing council, the Director General shall appoint for each directorate, either from the public or private sector, or may appoint either on transfer or secondment from the public service of the Federation or a state, such number of staff required for the effective discharge of the duties of the Resource Center under this Act.
What you do in that case is just replace the word Director General to Governing Council. That's all. So since we don't have directors yet, Senator Abamoro has moved that section 14(1), where in place of the word Director General, we should put Governing Council. Delete Director General and insert Governing Council. That the Governing Council shall appoint directors and recruit staff.
Mr. Chairman, I had proposed that in place of the Director General making appointments of directors and staff, that there is the Governing Council that will make such appointments. And therefore, we will amend section 14(1) to read Governing Council instead of Director General, and then delete section 14B. I so move.
Any seconder?
Mr. President, sitting as chair, compared by a sense of duty and the desire to have the minority leader for once have me second this motion, I stand to second the motion ably moved by him. I so second, Mr. President.
So section 14, 1 and 2 of page 9. So please give me a plain sheet. Come, Colonel, give me a plain sheet. So let him do what he has done for you so that the secretary can capture it very well. No, give it to him. So, in other words, where you see Director General, you insert Governing Council for now. You understand? In the recruitment of the directors and the staff of the center. Those in support of the amendment as moved by the minority leader and in a reverse order, seconded by the majority leader, say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it.
In view of the amendment made in section 3, I wish to move that the first schedule to clause 3, part A, where we listed all the corporations from 1 up to 39 be expunged. I so move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I so support.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Those who are in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So all those statutory corporations are hereby expunged from the bill.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, my second amendment is with respect to section 22, contained as clause 17 on page 9. Currently, it reads that the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Reps may give to the Director General directives of a general nature with regards to the performance of his function under this Act. And as it is presently written, this contradicts the provision of section 3, which talks about the Governing Council. Section 3 of the Principal Act, for the avoidance of doubt, is very clear that the President, the Chairman of the Governing Council, shall be the President of the Senate. But if you look at the section that I read on page 9, it says the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Reps may give to the Director General directives of a general nature in order to prevent a conflicting situation. Yes, sir. I propose that the subsection should read as follows. The President of the Senate may give to the Director General in consultation with the Speaker of the House of Reps, directives of a general nature with regards to the performance of his function under this Act. I so propose.
I rise to second the motion ably moved by the amendment ably moved by the Senate leader, that the President of the Senate, in consultation with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, may give to the Director General directives of a general nature with regards to the performance of his functions under this Act. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion and the amendment has been made and seconded. Those who are in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that the long title stand part of the bill as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate leader, you may wish to move a motion for us to revert to plenary to report progress.
Thank you, Mr. President, sitting as chair. I stand to move that the Senate revert to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Act Amendment Bill 2024 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clauses 1 to 4 as recommended, clause 5 as recommended, as amended, clauses 6 to 7 as recommended, clause 8 as amended, clause 9 to 12 as recommended, clause 13 as amended, clauses 14 as recommended, clause 15 as amended, clause 16 as recommended, clause 17 as amended, clauses 18 to 23 as recommended, and clause schedule 1 as amended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Yes.
The bill was subsequently passed.
I move that the bill be now read the third time. I so move.
A bill for an act to amend the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Establishment Act, number 11 of 2022, change the name to National Assembly Library and Resource Center, provide for additional source of funding for the center, eliminate the ambiguity in the chairmanship position of the Governing Council, streamline the functions of the Governing Council and the Office of the Director General, and to provide for the application of the funds of the center to set up the National Assembly Museum and for related matters, 2024. Third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Establishment Act number 11 of 2022 to change the name to National Assembly Library and Resource Center, provide for additional source of funds for the center, eliminate the ambiguity in the chairmanship position of the Governing Council, streamline the functions of the Governing Council and the Office of the Director General, and to provide for the application of the funds of the center to set up the National Assembly Museum and for related matters 2024. Third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Assembly Library Trust Fund Establishment Act number 11 of 2022 to change the name to National Assembly Library and Resource Center, provide for additional source of funds for the center, eliminate the ambiguity in the chairmanship position of the Governing Council, streamline the functions of the Governing Council and the Office of the Director General, and provide for the application of the funds to the center to set up the National Assembly Museum and for related matters 2024, third reading taken and passed.
Bill seeking to amend the Electoral Act was among the 5 that passed first reading. Senate has confirmed the appointment of Amidou Tadese and Fasua Bayomi as commissioners for the National Population Commission.
Do receive and consider the report of the Committee on National Identity and Population Commission on the confirmation of the nomination of Honorable Amidou Taji Rahim and Honorable Pasua Johnson Abomi as commissioners for the National Population Commission. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Ningi, just add a little meat to the report.
Of Amidou Tadese and Pasua Johnson Abomi. Amidou is from Oshun and Abayomi is from Ogun. This report was referred to us And we had a very long processes and time to look at the nominees, and they appeared physically one after the other, and we perused through their various CVs, and the committee found them eligible, competent to be assigned the responsibility of commissioners in their various states of Osun and Ogun. It is important that after a very thorough, diligent screening, both we found them very suitable for the requirement, and the committee hereby recommend to the Senate for the confirmation of the two nominees as commissioners in both Ogun and Osun. It is important, in conclusion, to thank Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief, through the President of the Senate, to the committee for the onerous task of having to assess this individual. I believe the committee has done justice to the work given to it by the Senate, and I believe I call all the senators to help confirm the last two batch of these commissioners, recalling that we had in the past brought the report of 18 of them. So the Senate had up to this time assessed, confirmed 18, and only 2 are remaining for onward transmission to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. I therefore ask that the Senate do give its backing to this report, as always. Thank you, Mr. President.
The distinguished colleagues, this looks very straightforward, and we had earlier screened and confirmed, and from the explanations made by the chairman, distinguished Senator Nengi, it seems very straightforward. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Amidu Tadise Rahim, representing Osun State, for appointment as a commissioner for the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Fasuwa Johnson Abayomi, representing Ogun State, for appointment as a commissioner for the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on National Identity and Population Commission on the screening of Mr. President nominees for appointment as commissioners for National Population Commission, MPC, and approved the nominations of Honorable Amidu Tadise Rahim and Honorable Fasuwa Johnson Abayomi as commissioners for National Population Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Amidu Tadise Rahim, representing Osun State, for appointment as commissioner for the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Amidu Tadise Rahim, representing Osun State, is hereby confirmed as commissioner for the National Population Commission? Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Fasuwa Johnson Abayomi, representing Ogun State, for appointment as a commissioner for the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. the nomination of Honorable Fashua Johnson Abayami, representing Ogun State, is hereby confirmed as a commissioner for the National Population Commission. Let me thank the Distinguished Senator Nengi and the members of the Committee on National Identity and Population Commission for the screening and recommendations made, now approved and confirmed by the Senate, and the timeous manner in which they handle this. And thank my colleagues for all their contributions and wish the nominees well in the task of national cohesion and national building.
Tokbe.